what you'll need is a fillet knife, a Ziploc bag, a cutting board, and just a clean working area. What we'll do is we're going to pull off the feathers, and then we're going to make an incision, open up the chest cavity, and pull out the breasts. Now, some people like to also keep the legs on ducks. For me personally, I don't feel too guilty not using it. It's like basically one bite of meat, and it's a lot of work. When you do a lot of hunting like I do, you know what I mean, you get so much meat. It's mostly we go for the breasts. We just do the best we can. So when you go to remove the feathers off of a duck, you want to pull against the grain. So you want to pull up like that. You want to grab handfuls and pull up. If you pull down, it's not really going to do much. It's going to take out like a few, but if you pull up, you'll notice that a lot of them come off in big chunks there, and that we're exposing the chest cavity. Now, one interesting thing about ducks is you can see that they have an outer feather, and then they have an inner feather. The inner feathers are what insulate the duck, and they're called down. The outer feathers are what keep and shed water off of the duck. It kind of acts like a raincoat. So this would be your down jacket. Something that insulates your body and is good at trapping air. And the outer feathers are what keep water out. So this can get very messy. So either when you process a duck, if you have permission on the private land where you're hunting, you can leave the feathers there and just kind of toss the carcass into the woods, and you can feed other birds and animals. I don't really like throwing things in landfills. But right now we're on private land. We don't have permission to throw the ducks wherever we want. So just opening up this area. I don't have to go too crazy because I'm not trying to keep the skin. I'm just trying to open up the area so that way there's not going to be really feathers getting in the way of the meat that I'm processing. Ideally, you want to hit a duck in the head, but sometimes you hit it in other places. I hit this one in the chest. You want to hit it in the head whenever you can, because then you don't waste any of the meat, right? You open up the skin. So we're going to cut down along the sternum, like that. Cutting up to the collarbone. The collarbone's broken. I think a BB hit it. All right. Anyway, so now you grab here and you want to pull. A friend of mine was processing a duck, and he just basically put it in the freezer. And the next day when he went to process the duck, he opened the door and the duck flew out. So it should look like this. It should pull away. The meat stops kind of right around the ribs, right at this section. So kind of right around the armpit of the wing. You can see the breast stops. So before you freeze meat, always check to make sure you got all the feathers off. Because once it's frozen, it's a lot harder as the piece is thawing to remove feathers at that point. So basically this is the rib cage here. You want to run your knife along that. This is the sternum. You also want to run your knife along there. So I make a cut first down along the sternum on both sides. And then I get my knife under and I follow the rib cage. And as I'm doing that, I'm pulling the meat away off to the side. Once you get it here, you can make a cut off the skin, and then you run it along the collarbone here, and you try your best to get as much meat as you can. But this is basically the collarbone, or like the wishbone on a chicken. Right here, that's like not a lot of meat right there, but try your best to get as much as you can. What you don't want to do is to puncture through here with your knife as you're coming down. You also don't want to leave too much meat on the rib cage if you can avoid it. You kind of want it clean. Like right here, that looks great. Right there, I could have done a bit of a better job. Again, on this side, kind of see, here's the sternum, here's the beginning of the rib cage, here's a few ribs you can see. And yeah, you just follow that. So I'll show you what the legs of a duck look like, and I'll show you why. Like, it's, yes, you can harvest them if you want, especially if you only got like one duck or something. Maybe you want to keep as much meat as possible. Alright, so I'm opening up dislocated the ball joint. See, like that's about like one bite worth. Of course, you don't want to be wasteful, but at the same time, you want to be efficient, especially if you shot a lot of ducks. So basically, I recommend is if you shot one or two, then yeah, make the effort. You can save this meat, debone it, and then add it to your stir fry or however you're preparing your ducks. However, if you got a lot, it's just better just process the meat as quick as you can and put it in the freezer. But you can see the size difference here between the breast of a duck and the leg. A lot of what you're seeing is bone and feathers. If I were to take that off, it'd probably be like maybe a quarter of this breast here. And it takes quite a bit of time to clean these up as well. It's a lot faster just to take the breasts. Anyway, it's your personal decision what you would like to do.